Hello class, this is Dr. Paget, and this is the continuation of the instructions for completing the U.S. Cities Climograph assignment. So I'm going to go to screen share here again so that you can see the assignment instructions. So with the last instructional video, I got you to the point where you created the Kirpin climate classifications for each city right here. So the next step is to get those climagraphs uploaded into an ArcGIS online StoryMap. And this is going to be a little bit tricky, so just please pay attention. Now I'm scrolling past all of these steps for creating the climograph because I created that template for you that should have made things easier for you. So you should at this point have all of your data into that template spreadsheet, and you should also have climagraphs in them, like so. So here is the sample climograph and data for Baltimore, Maryland. So next, how do we get this climograph downloaded into a JPEG format and then into the map? So first, select the climograph, then right click, and then go to copy. And then you can use any number of programs, but the easiest one to use in Microsoft is Paint, and you just paste the climograph right into the operating space for Paint, crop it off, File, Save As, JPEG, and then just save it as the JPEG image. So if you notice, you'll have to do this with each of your 6 climagraphs. Okay, so once you've done that, the next step is you will have to, if you don't already have one, get a Flickr account. So go to flickr.com, create a Flickr account. And so the Flickr screen looks like this. This is how to look after you log in. Next, you will go to upload, this little upload button, and then you will upload the climograph from your hard drive, okay? And then after you've done that, you will then be able to upload your files into your Flickr account. Then just follow the steps to create an album. You'll create an album, make sure the album is visible to everyone. That should be the default setting. And then upload each of your climagraphs into that album. I call my album GEOG 3500, okay? So do that for all 6 of your climagraphs. Now, once you have your climagraphs saved into your Flickr account, the next step is to, if you haven't already, to create an ArcGIS Online public account for yourself. So here are the instructions. Click this link, scroll down to create public account. It'll take a few minutes, and then you will have a public account that looks something like this. You'll have your name here. You can go to map or what have you. Just be sure you're logged in. The next step is to click on this link and go to StoryMap. So StoryMaps is a mapping template for ArcGIS Online. So the next steps are how to take that each climograph and import it into ArcGIS Online, ArcGIS Online StoryMap. Again, this is a little bit tricky. So here you are on the StoryMaps page. Click on right here where it says Create Story. Then you want to click on Map Tour. Okay, now the Map Tour app opens up. Now notice you have to have images in order to do this. So you click here. This little symbol is for your Flickr account. Click there. Then you have to know your username. And then hit look up. So notice it said, ask me to choose an album. Let's see. Again, like I said, this is a little bit tricky. So it's, for some reason, it's not allowing me to connect to that album. TSU, GlobalMe, albums. Okay, so this might take a couple of seconds. Try this again. Okay, so it's being a little stubborn. We try this again. We go back. My albums, maybe this album is not visible. And that's one thing, you have to make sure that the album is visible to everyone. Okay, so the photo was not public. So I've just made the photo public. I'm going to go back here. Still not working. I told you this was going to be kind of tricky, but we're going to keep working with it. Okay, so maybe I need to add this photo to an album. So I'm going to call this GEOG 3500, create, done. Okay, that should do it. So I'm going to go back to map tour, look up. Come on. There it is. Okay, so now we have, and I took you through that sequence. It looked like, oh, he's making all kinds of mistakes, but it just shows you what you might have to do to get the picture to show up. So I go here, then I hit import. Now there's my picture. Then I have to select the picture and then click on the map to locate it. So I'm going to zoom in on Baltimore. So this is what you'll do with each of your cities. Keep zooming in. Keep zooming in. Keep zooming in. Now there's Baltimore. Click there and then hit import. And then you notice that you have various dialog boxes to begin to create your the data for your graphs. Now the first thing is that you should have is located within the Kirpin CFA climate region. So the first sentence should be the Kirpin climate region within which your city falls. Now, the rest of the information that goes into the dialog box should be a description of why that climate graph has its shape. You should make note of the temperature range. Remember, the temperature range should be a number. It's the difference between the highest and lowest temperature experienced in that city. You should make note of the annual temperature, precipitation distribution, and then you must discuss the effect of various climate controls. And so here are a couple of tutorials that will tell you which climate controls may be impacting your city. Latitude is not going to be one that we're going to be focusing upon because all of these cities are at approximately the same latitude. Land versus water, obviously there are going to be some effects of water and land in that water might have a modifying effect upon the temperature range. Mountains, we know some of the impacts that mountains have upon climate. Oceans and ocean currents will have an effect upon climate, and so on and so forth. So that's the kind of information that should go into these boxes for each of your cities. So you might say Baltimore's climate is influenced by the warm Gulf Stream current. You should also look up each city's elevation because there might be some impacts there. If you go back into the data, let's see, Baltimore's temperature range, the high is 79.1 degrees Fahrenheit. The low is 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that is a temperature range of 35.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So that should obviously be included in your here. Baltimore's (34.5 degrees F), and so on and so forth. And so in this dialog box, you should discuss the fact also that the average high temperature is average high monthly temperature is 79.1 degrees Fahrenheit during July, and so on and so forth. All the information that goes in this box should be derived from this graph, except for perhaps elevation. Other than that, everything should come from this graph based upon your observations, and also the information based upon climate controls. And then I also have provided you with a tutorial on some of the characteristics of world climates, but just, you know, you should have enough data for each city to get at least 100 or so words in each of these boxes. So at the end of the day, you know, once you save this story map, a person who comes to your story map should be able to view it. Click on the point itself on the map. Okay, so here's the story map itself. And this will make a lot more sense once you have more than one city. Click here and notice that when you click there, up will pop this dialog box and the Climagraph itself. And you'll have a story map that is comprised of each of your 6 cities. Then, of course, you can also use this template to create maps of your cities for your term paper. So again, those are the simple steps for getting your climagraphs into the ArcGIS Online story map. Again, I know it's kind of tricky. If you wish, if you send me if you email me the email address that's associated with your ArcGIS GIS Online account, I can perhaps make you part of the TSU organization, and then you don't have to go through this Flickr step. Let me know if you would like to do that. Otherwise, I know this is not easy, but please ask questions as often as possible when you get stuck. Okay, so I look forward to hearing from all of you as you work through this exercise. And again, at the end of it, you will have all the data that you need for the group term paper. Looking forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Thank you for your patience as we transition to this online environment.